By the way, I love this cozy environment because I was speaking in front of 120 people as an introvert, and seeing all of you laughing and talking around the beds, it's just like, this is my dream networking event, by the way. And if anyone wants to take a nap later, you can go take a nap. I saw the shift in energy from when we were talking about what keeps us up at night versus when we were talking about dreams. So I'm curious, I'd love to hear, I would love if someone here could share a dream that they heard from someone else that resonated or struck with them, or just I'm rooting for them. Is there a dream that you heard that you're like, ooh, that sounded good? What I found out in coaching now hundreds and hundreds of people, and now having had thousands of people come through my programs, is that the people who have dreams are easier to coach than people who are based on fears. People who make fear-based decisions, I'm gonna say this lovingly, are a pain in the butt to coach. But people who have dreams saying, you know what? This is where I wanna be, or this is where I want the world to be, versus what's going on right now and just accepting that this is the world that we live in, those people will, as my sticker says, get their ass out of bed and get to do some of the hard things that we're avoiding to make that dream happen. What I found out from a lot of my clients, and I learned this through trial and error, is that the other thing that I heard is that a lot of people are also picking other people's dreams. They're like, oh, that dream, because I heard someone else have that dream, that's now my dream. Or that was my parents' dream, or that was like my ancestors' dream, but is that really my dream? So one of the things that I am very cognizant about when I do programs and coaching and training and why, I always tell people that my psychology degree is way more valuable than my business degree. And the psychology degree is 10 times more useful in coaching people about money because it's about behavior and habits, and that's what's actually gonna drive you forward, not knowledge. Because in the grand scheme of things, it's a small group of us, but we all generally know what we're supposed to be doing. But whether or not those turn into habits that create the dream that we want is another thing. I'm so grateful for y'all for sharing that, because y'all just met and now you're sharing your dreams and hopes and fears with people. In bed. In bed. Okay. This is the preface. Hey, my new friend in financial freedom, ready to crush your money goals? I'm Bernadette, your millionaire mentor, actually now multimillionaire since then. Thank you, thank you. And the rich auntie you didn't know you needed until this very moment. I firmly believe that this book will not only help you learn all the things you wish someone had taught you about money when you were growing up, but also show you how to build smart money habits that will last your lifetime. Plus, a lot of people were looking for money guidance beyond the set it and forget it strategies being pushed by traditional finance experts. Many students have found that the crush steps are the gift that keeps on giving, providing a framework to rely on as they encounter major life transitions. Over the years, the Crush Bootcamp has evolved, benefiting from real-time feedback from thousands of students worldwide. This evolution is a testament to the unpredictable nature of financial journeys, and the program, and I, am stronger thanks to all of its members' contributions. Crush Your Money Goals exists to help you become a confident, badass mama jamma, one hopeful habit at a time. I can't wait to go on this journey with you as your millionaire mentor. I see you, and I'm honored that you're here. XO Bernadette Joy. So, thank you. Every time I read it, I get a little bit choked up because each of those moments is a specific person that I had in mind. And I'm gonna guess that everyone in this room has had some sort of experience that made them feel like money wasn't enough at some point. And so my hope is that as you walk through your journeys, we have lots of resources for you today. Now you have a bunch of new financial friends, so I hope you stay connected on LinkedIn or otherwise.
So hello everyone, my name is Yael Feuder. We are running a circle in September. So if you learn better in community and you like accountability, we are a bunch of women who are talking about money. And that's important because what I find is that I've actually managed budgets. I was in corporate finance for a really long time. So I've done it in organizations, but when it came to my own money, it felt very different. And there was a lot of emotion attached to it that I didn't understand. When it came to my own finance, it felt different. It is incredibly helpful to do that in community with other women. and in a supportive and safe environment. So we are running a circle. It meets weekly, and we'd love to have you. What? At the not at the mattress store, but in Center City, Philadelphia. If you are Philly or Philly adjacent and are interested in joining us and learning in community, it has been life-changing for me. So I invite you all to come and chat with us, and me and Margaret and Callan, who's been part of our program, and learn more about what we're doing here in Philly. Thanks.
I'm going to deduce some questions out of these here, and then I'll open it up to any other questions that y'all may have. This one up here says, figuring out how to leave my job. I have done this many times. I've left many jobs. I left my job, went to entrepreneurship, got freaked out, went back to get a job, left again, and now I've been out of corporate for almost a decade right now. And what would be really helpful is to start building out what is your runway. Like, what is a comfortable buffer that will help you be able to make good decisions in whatever it is that you're doing next? So, like, many startups, right? Like, they raise capital, right? These people, they don't just, like, suddenly say, okay, I'm going to quit my job one day and I'm not going to feed my family. They raise capital from investors, say, I need 12 months of runway. And by runway, all that means is that they're taking other people's money and paying for their expenses so that they can focus on their job. So for myself, I personally was my own angel investor, and my husband and I decided that once we saved up about 6 months worth of expenses, and that's a little ballsy, I would say, then we said, oh, one of us can leave the job, not both of us. And now, several years later, my lovely husband, who is paid in hugs and kisses right now to be here. So we're doing it in steps. For those of us who are in the finance space, we know that budgeting is like a big part of this. And so figuring out what your regular expenses are, and then figuring out what is an appropriate amount of what I call a keep calm fund. Calm the buck down is what I tell people. What that amount is that will help you feel comfortable to take that risk is a good place to start. Okay, student loans, and I'm going to also go with credit card debt here. Is that what I do with all my clients is we list out all of their debts. Then we do what we call the debt snowball, which is lowest to highest balance. But then I do another overlay on top of the debt snowball, which is to say, which of these are keeping you up at night? And then we move them and put that at the top of the list. So like a prime example is I had a client who had 20 different debts because student loans are broken up into multiple debts. Take every debt that you have, every credit card, every student loan, and make a list of it, and then put them in the order that you want to pay them off, but starting off with the smallest balance versus the highest interest rate. In that particular case, that client said, I owe my cousin Joey like $3,000. And it's gonna be hella awkward at Thanksgiving if I don't pay this off. And it was 0 interest. So Avalanche would say, you don't pay that one. Bernadette, the coach, says, do you wanna go to Thanksgiving and not get side-eye? And wear your nice sneakers there and not feel bad about it. So we moved that one up, and we paid off cousin first, and then we worked on the rest of the list. That is a great place to start. Someone said debt and child care, and then tuition and private tuition. And I'm actually working on this with a client right now. She has 3 kids. She went to an Ivy League school, and so therefore her kids must go to Ivy League school. And I was like, okay. I'm like, just to be clear, whose dream is this? And she's like, it's mine. It's totally mine, and I don't care. That's what I'm going to do, like, for my kids. I said, okay. So we took all those goals. Yes, we have this thing, but where is the priority of this in comparison to all your other goals? They said, okay, are you willing to give up and work longer and push out your retirement to make this thing happen? And in her case, she said yes. And then we started putting a plan around that. But I do also have some clients who say, you know what, I actually feel very confident that my kids will actually learn a lot about working really hard for their tuition, and so I'm going to have them fund part of their student education. And so we had a different plan for them. So where this comes in is like with the tuition for children here, is we still need to put that in the context of all of your goals and then see where that falls in your priority list, okay? Given the current volatility plus future uncertainty, how much is enough? And then will it all go away overnight? This one's somewhat similar. When cash flow gets tight in my business, my savings get wiped. So this is all a lot of the shoe's got to drop and then what? So what I tell a lot of my clients is that the shoe will drop. Everyone will have a shoe drop at some point in their life. It could be someone passing away. It could be someone getting sick. It could be your job going away. You heard the list of things that I work people through. Everyone had something happen. So rather than avoiding talking about the things that might happen, let's create a plan. So now all of my clients, because of my own experience, I force my clients to all do their estate planning. I'm like, you cannot leave these decisions. Can you imagine my dad had 9 kids and there was no estate plan? Because he thought he was gonna live forever. So now I tell people, so what is the thing that you're really worried about? Okay, what's the backup plan for this? Okay, and let's put that plan together. And what I found is that a lot of people, even if it's not a perfect plan, having a plan versus no plan and just living in the anxiety is not where we wanna be. Okay, now we have a few more minutes. Does anyone have questions about anything related to money, investing, K-pop demon hunters, like anything you want to talk about?
That's probably a mindset issue, but.
This is something I work on with a lot of my clients is and AJ and I can attest to this, is that when I was in the middle of growing my business in 2021 is when my dad passed away and I paid for the whole funeral. And I had to be I had to be out of my business for 4 weeks. So that was unexpected. One, we had to do the best we could in that given moment, take stock of all of our resources. So this is why I tell all of my clients, what do we have available to us right now? What are all the assets? So what do we have in cash right now? What do we have in investments? What do we have in properties? I'm ashamed to say this, but AJ and I, in certain parts of our life, we pulled money with penalties from our 401k because we had nowhere else to pull it from, what we were gonna do. And I've had multiple kidney stones, which is why I keep telling everyone to drink water, right? The last kidney stone that I had was a $10,000 deductible to get rid of it. So a lot of people are like, oh, nothing bad must have happened to you. This is why you're flourishing. I'm like, no, all the shit happened. Yeah. All of it happened. So rather than say, while money is tight right now, is to say, okay, what are the specific circumstances that you're really concerned about? And they have to be rooted in reality, right? Like my mom being sick was like something that was reasonably gonna happen. Me possibly having another issue was reasonably gonna happen. We already had a backup plan saying my brother is the primary person, point of contact, and I'm the backup person. And so if something happens, this is what we're gonna do. So I love your question because rather than saying, oh, like money is tight right now, so what if something happens? Let's talk about the what ifs. And then what are the scenarios here? And what I find that exercise helps a lot of my clients realize, okay, some of the things I'm worrying about, like really what's the true reality of what's gonna happen? And if it's really realistically gonna happen, then write a documented plan of what you plan to do. What is the best investment I made recently? I got a really good tax accountant. And she found a lot of money that I was overpaying in taxes. And this is as someone who knows what they're doing. And then I have her now, she does all of the taxes for all of my clients, my business clients. So I run an accelerator program where I have 10 different businesses who I'm actively investing in. And I said, I cannot invest in you if you don't have proper books. So they are all working with my accountant, and she found one of them $10,000. So yes, someone who actually knows what they're doing in your particular field or your circumstances is really helpful. So finding a good tax person who is very well versed in your particular field and your particular situations is worth the money. A lot of people skimp out on just like trying to do their taxes on their own or getting TurboTax. Great question. So funny enough, literally yesterday, I submitted an article into Bankrate that said, cash in as a couple, tips for couples to get on the same page about money. The preview on that is, number one, we went to therapy, individually and as a couple, because a lot of the strife around money and not being on the same page is because y'all are just assuming that you have similar ways of dealing with money, and we haven't delved into what these fears are really doing. And so a lot of people assume that just because me and AJ are both Filipino that we're like very similar, but he grew up in the South, he grew up in South Carolina, and I grew up in the middle of New York City. I have 8 siblings, he has 2. Like there are wide differences in how we spend money. So therapy was hugely helpful, both individually and as a couple. And then what I wrote about in the article is you have to track your finances together, even if you're not having joint accounts. So there has to be visibility, even if your name is not on that account. So he has accounts that are in his name, and I have accounts in my name, but there's visibility there, so there's no secrets. And that's my personal opinion. A lot of people will disagree with that. And a lot of that came up because of the estate planning. I'm like, we need to make sure someone else knows what's going on. I watch a lot of K-dramas, and K-dramas people just like suddenly faint and go into a coma for months. So that's like what was going on in my brain. And then the last piece is to do a budget together every month. So do it together. I tell my clients usually when the kids are quiet. One of my clients, they do it 5 a.m. on Sunday mornings. They have 5 kids. They're like, that's the only time that they're all asleep. But that 1 hour every month gets them on the same page. And so there's other tips in there. I was last year taking myself like way too seriously. So I decided for myself, I'm like, I need to sprinkle in more of this joy. And because my name is that, right? So that I can do this longer term. And that's what I've noticed with a lot of my clients too. I have 3 sections to people's budgets. It's strive, revive, and survive. And revive is everything that's not necessary but makes life worth living. And I force all of my clients to have something in that bucket, even if they're paying off debt, even if they're just building up savings. Because I'm like, I just know this from personal experience and from all my clients. If you're just striving and working your ass off and taking yourself seriously every single day, you'll just burn out. Or worse, like you will literally, your body will just not take it anymore. And so someone yesterday said this to me, and I've been thinking about it ever since. They said, since I'm 40, I probably have about 40 summers left. Think about that. If I live to 80 and I'm 40 right now, I've got 40 summers left. So I'm going to all the K-pop concerts because I can do it better at 40 than I can do at 50 or 60. Yes. And the last thing I'll say is that I did this journal prompt because I'm a journaling person too. The journaling prompt I had for myself was that if I knew for sure that I had 10 years left to live, would I still be acting this way? Would I be stressed out about every single little thing? Like even coming to this thing, I was like, you know what? If food is like not where it's supposed to be and the sodas are not cold and no one has name tags, I'm like, no one's gonna die. It'll be fine. But a year ago, it was like, everything has to be exactly where it's supposed to be. My vision has to be like this. So I'm really grateful to all of you for coming. Let's give a round of applause to Saatva again for staying late for us.